Doug is coming back to us. He's the chief planner for the city of Orlando, but he's here by popular demand. He spoke to us about 6 months ago, and we had a long list of questions for him. And since we didn't finish it up, he agreed to come back and talk to us some more so we could finish up all our questions and education on downtown Orlando. Doug is involved with the planning and the development of just about everything that happens, not only downtown Orlando, but Central Florida. He is the chief planner for the city of Orlando. And he's the overseer. He oversees things such as the downtown Orlando appearance. He oversees the review board, the prehistoric preservation board. And he also does the community planning and and reviews of the design of the and the aesthetics of everything that affects us in the community. And this is anything from signs to telecommunications. Also, that includes permits of all the high rises, the stadiums, the major developments throughout our city. He's also been involved in other, before he came to the city 13 years ago, other developments that are major in our community, such as the Lake Nona Medical Center and the University of Central Florida College of Medicine. So with that, we would like to give Doug a warm Rotary welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Clear up one thing. I am a chief planner for the city of Orlando. I manage our community planning studio, which is our urban design studio. Elizabeth Dang is the planning manager for the city of Orlando, my boss. So I'm not the head one. There's a couple above me, but I run kind of a third of our planning division. Last time I was here, I kind of gave you all the data background of DTO 2.0, kind of one of the bigger things that we're all starting to do. Who saw the mayor's downtown, state of downtown yesterday? The conversion of what has been historically our central business district that are changing all over the country and converting that to more of a neighborhood, live, work, play, educate. So a few disclaimers. What I have today are all the pretty pictures of some of the space planning we've been doing. They are blue sky plans. We let the designers loose. We had some concepts we wanted to follow. We had places we identified. We said, in a perfect world, if we could do this, what would we do? We weren't taking money into account. So you're gonna see a lot of kind of pretty pictures today, but it is the beginning of the vision for the next generation of downtown Orlando. So, and the other piece of that is if we started any one of these projects right this moment, it would be at least 3 years before we could turn a shovel on any of them. So just to go through design and everything else, so we'd have to go through to get to them. But welcome to my world. Let me move over here. So DTO 2.0 is divided kind of into 4 pieces: streets, civic spaces, mobility options, and districts. We're going to talk about the civic spaces today, but just kind of come on, there we go. Just kind of back down, our streets all have different characters. We're starting to reclassify them kind of based on those characters, based on social connections. Are they parkways? Are they broadways? Are they cross-district connectors? You'll see the characters of those streets start to influence what happens on them as we go forward. One of the major efforts is we're looking at two-waying Orange Avenue, Magnolia Avenue, and Rosalind Avenue. And then also that means the limo lanes going away on Magnolia Avenue, and you'll kind of see what that does for us here in a few minutes. And then we're also looking at the limo routes and potentially reorganizing the limo routes. We would like the orange line, which now just kind of runs from north of 50 to City Hall, to go from hospital to hospital. We'd like to take the grapefruit line, which runs along Central, basically now from today, it goes from Lake Eola to Westmoreland. We want to extend that all the way over to Lake Lucerne, because that is how the majority of the folks get to the Publix in downtown from the Paramore area. And then expanding the Lime Line, which is the one that goes up through Creative Village, and extending that over to Lake Eola. But what we're really looking at today is downtown as Orlando Central Park. As we kind of look at it, we've got Creative Village up in the north, we've got Lake Eola over on the west, we got Lake Lucerne on the south, and then we've got what we call the north quarter, the area north of 50 above us. And we start to look at that in the grid network. And this boundary is the study boundary, but it's also been our defined central business district boundary for a long time. That's on. So these are kind of the spaces that we're going to be looking at really quick, and you kind of see how they line up. starting from Lake Lucerne in the south, Centaur Plaza, Church Street, the Bortzlocks, which is the corner of Orange and Pine, Heritage Square in front of the History Center, Magnolia Avenue, which is going to be one of our predominant streets in the future, Livingston as a connector, and our gateway over to Creative Village, and then the Sentinel site, which we don't touch the Sentinel site in this one because we don't own the Sentinel site. So as we've looked at Magnolia Avenue, the existing character, existing streetscape's a little bit tired. We've been looking through the sections. One of the things that we're looking for are creating more festival spaces, more gathering spaces, spaces for people to use. And I want to get to the pictures because these are boring. I should have cut these out. These are different sections. The other thing we're looking to do is improve our downtown drainage with LID, which is low impact design processes. Those will be rain gutters, those types of things, because our downtown lakes are also our downtown stormwater ponds. So we want to be able to treat the water that goes into those better before it gets there. So that'll be part of redoing the streets as we do those streets as well. So this is what Magnolia Avenue looks like without limo lanes. Potential for an on-street parking lane, 2 11-foot travel lanes, potential biking, bike share lane, and much wider streetscapes. And it's much wider streetscapes that we're really interested in because that will allow those buildings over there to transition to more of a main street, local main street, and have Orange Avenue be our corporate main street. Skipping because we're behind too. And that's another section. These are different sections. So kind of the interesting places along the way, the Livingston Corner Park. This is the corner of Magnolia and Livingston, which of course today is closed. You can't go through there with a vehicle. When the limo lanes go away, you'll be able to go through. We have Kevin Tyeski Park at the corner of Rosalind and Livingston, and that wraps around to this turnaround at, of course, I'm pointing at my screen and you can see that, the turnaround over here in front of the Sky House building. So we're on the south side of Livingston, on the south side of the downtown courthouse, and Magnolia Avenue to the west of where we are. Opportunities here to create places. These were kind of our conceptual design ideas. This is existing today with the potential to convert to something like this, which is the expansion of a park. It has dog park-like features. It also has green space features. Again, we're right adjacent to the Sky House building. Right around the corner is the view. We anticipate more residential redevelopment in this area. I think you heard Society Orlando opens in January with another 429 residential units, and they have plans for a second tower. So these are just the concept sketches. Heritage Square, which is way overdue for a redo, and we are, from the city standpoint, looking at doing some immediate upgrades. But as we look at it long term, we see that section by the library, by Heritage Square, the intersection of Central and Magnolia, as another potential gathering space. So the ability to turn that into a festival street area, curbless, where we have no curbs, where we rework the center to make it more functional. So here we are today. And then the ability to, as we looked at our concepts, change the plans and become something more like this. So just kind of before and after. Oops, wrong. I'm left-handed, so these are backwards for me. One. So again, just another view of the History Centers in the back. The library is over to the right. This is a concept. It's nothing that we plan on building yet, but it's an idea of what we could do to this space to make it a people space, to turn downtown Orlando into much more of a neighborhood and give us better places to live and to hang out and to enjoy. So that's Heritage Square. This is kind of interesting concept that the designers came up with. The people sitting on the right are actually sitting on those raised planters that are next to the library. They're on the other side of Magnolia Avenue from the History Center, those raised planter areas, creating that as a deck area. So you could, again, open that entire space up for festivals, for gatherings, for those types of things. We're actually starting to talk about closing Magnolia Avenue on Saturdays so that families can come out and let their kids ride up and down Magnolia Avenue between Central and Washington on their bikes and skates. This is potential for Magnolia Avenue some more, how the street develops. Church Street is the second major street that we're talking about redoing. So You can see the palm trees. Well, if you can't see, there we got it. To the east, which is to the right. Sorry, I'm back. East to left is Orange Avenue. You see I-4 on the other side. The area that fingers down from Church Street is down to South Street on the south. And then the plaza area right in the middle where the cross forms is just right over here outside the door. So we're right here at the corner. And we've really looked at this for several reasons. Again, we're way overdue. We have Bob Snow's streetscape still from 1972 out front. That is turning to powder. We want to bring back, we want to revive. We have a living room coming up over here. These were reference concepts from cities and other things that our design team used as influence. And then as we start to kind of look at the potential for the pieces, the plaza as a downtown living room, the east block, the west block. And so this is the west block, see the railroad tracks over from plan view looking down, and we're in the building over there in the upper right-hand corner. Wait, upper left, your upper left-hand corner, sorry. Cross section for Church Street, just again, being able to narrow the lanes, expand the sidewalks, create as much space, but also going to a zero curb, no vertical obstructions, still maintaining two-way traffic, but allowing people to walk along. The biggest complaint we get about Church Street is women in high heels complain about the pavers. And so they keep breaking their high heels and they keep twisting their ankles. There we go. So here's potential today, potential in the future. Again, redoing curbs go away, all of those. Ignore the landscaping. I've already talked to the designers about giving us landscape that was actually a little more specific. Orange Avenue to the pedestrian bridge, kind of the same thing. We clear it out, we open it up, we give the street new life. It allows the buildings to have new life. It will hopefully help reinvigorate the retail that we really want to bring back downtown. The plaza area behind us, which we see as a living room space, potential performance space. Fringe has moved in there now. Fringes will be giving performances in the plaza area, as well as their regular performances there. City just signed a deal to move SAC Comedy Lab back into these buildings over here. We're doing a lot of rent incentive programs now to bring the retail that we think will be successful to downtown. We're using models. We're taking existing local businesses and business owners who've been successful in other areas in downtown, primarily our other main streets, and bringing them downtown and helping incentivize projects for them to bring more retail downtown. So this plaza space becomes a performance space, becomes a gathering space for people too, surrounded by restaurants. So kind of look at some of the conceptual ideas, some sort of large shade structure. And this is a digital screen on the bottom of this, but even some sort of shade structure of the plaza, because as one of our lead consultants, who's a world-renowned walkability expert, likes to say, where's the effing shade? Because there is not a lot of, there is some shade in downtown, but there's not a lot, and we need to make as much as we can. Again, and so one of the areas that we've discussed is getting more people into Church Street, more people to Amway, is this area that's right behind us, behind the railroad tracks. Isn't owned by the city. It's Lincoln Properties, I believe. But we're talking about the potential of creating what we call the foyer, which is a connection from South Street up to Church Street. And that's what this space is behind us. You can see the railroad tracks at the top, where it says the foyer is, wait a minute, let me get my bearings. Wait, which building is that one? I'm backwards. Railroad tracks. Oh, okay. Yeah, so railroad tracks. That's the train station, the little cutout over there. There we go. Sorry. I'm backwards today too. So again, kind of a cross section through this area, but today, potential for tomorrow. The ability to create these connections, to create vibrant spaces that allow us to move around, that allow us to gather in spaces, that will support the residents that we think will be continuing to move to downtown Orlando. The thing that we're continuing to get, multifamily buildings, We're not getting office buildings. Everything that's coming in right now is residential. And everything has stopped. You'll notice for the second time since I've been working in the city for 13 years, there isn't a crane in downtown Orlando. So hopefully that'll change soon. Just another part of the concept as we talked about public art and things, and the designers got silly and stuck Mickey in the middle. The Lucerne Gateway, the Southern Gateway into downtown Orlando has always been a struggle for us. It is a pedestrian nightmare. It is just completely hostile to get through. We're looking at creating a Southern Gateway down here, intense pedestrian paths, increased stormwater protection. You'll kind of see as these go through, as we look at fishing overlooks, magnolia overlooks, monumental fountain, terrace seating, paddleboat dock. So again, activating this lake edge, making it more pedestrian accessible, creating a place, but also enhancing the connectivity from the south up to the Performing Arts Center, which is where we struggle right now too. We had a grocery store at the corner of Gore and Orange that failed twice because it just was too hard to get to. You couldn't get out from here. We get a lot of the folks on the south side of the lake who want to get to the north and just don't have a nice way to do it. Come on. Stop. There. So this is kind of the plan as it starts to develop. We could do it with kind of with the monumental fountain, or one without the monumental fountain, which is this is the configuration today. Cross sections of different ways to treat the lake edge, and then here comes the big picture. So again, bumping out those lake edges, you'll see the path and those planted areas between the path and the lake edges are stormwater treatment areas. They're actually in areas where stormwater discharges into the lake. So what we do is we create marsh areas that will again filter that stormwater one more time before it gets into the body of the lake. One of the key concepts here from a drainage standpoint, and then just really improving the connectivity, creating places for people to sit and just be. Playground opportunities. Again, drive by Lake Lucerne today. Imagine it like this tomorrow. This is the area underneath the 408 over by Roslyn, potential skate park. Nice idea. I don't think it's going to happen there, but again, the potential to use the under freeway spaces. This is the view up Roslyn Avenue of the monumental fountain feature. And then 30 South Orange is a little plaza around the corner at Pine and Orange. It's privately owned. The city has been trying to buy it for a long time now, and we may be close to being successful to doing that. And then we will convert it into some sort of a plaza. They've just recently put the mural in this year. It's a little space. It's only 1/10 of an acre, but it has a lot of potential. We looked at parks all over the country: Paisley Park, Green Acres, Waterfall Garden Park, Seattle, Manhattan. These are images from those parks, these little pocket parks that just become respites from the urban environment. So as we get to what we're thinking about for that corner, we ran through a couple plans, shade structures, those types of things. We kind of landed on a center feature with a waterfall. So this is the potential at Orange and Pine. Again, the trees won't look like that on day one. They might look like that after 20 years. So, and just another place, respite, potential performance spaces. And again, that's everything I've got today from the pretty picture standpoint. But as we look at taking downtown from being not just the central business district, but being the main neighborhood for the city of Orlando, those are the things that we're looking at. A couple other things on the horizon. We have the US Olympic Marathon trials here in Orlando in February. We're going to be doing some intersection murals and what we call curb narrowing murals along Orange Avenue, along Roslyn. For that is just kind of a spruce things up. I'm also involved in the city district, which is our City of Orlando downtown Main Street district. We're getting ready to start painting 14 traffic signal boxes here in the core of downtown Orlando. We did a call for artists. We got artists, we got sponsors. So the boxes are sponsored. The artist will start painting. Hopefully that's going to start. The first 7 should be done by early October. Well, wait, this is almost early October. Probably won't be done until November. Um, City District is also putting on the first field day in downtown Orlando, corporate field day, just like we did in school. Everything from a tug of war to obstacle course races. We're working actively on the under eye site over here. Probably by Thanksgiving or a little after, you'll start to see the concept plans for that. It's about 40% parking and about 60% activated urban space. We're targeting about 400 parking spaces, which if you think about before I-4, that was 900 parking spaces from Church Street all the way up to Washington. So 400 parking spaces, then about 60% of activated urban space. Lake Eola is starting their master plan. So those are kind of some of the things that are going on. I heard there were a lot of questions, so fire away and I'll answer what I can.
Pat's going to be taking questions with the microphone.
Okay, let's see, first question. Bob.
Yeah, the Lake Lucerne would have to have like retail around it, or at least some type of a, because there's not much. I mean, obviously on the east side of the lake, it's all residential, law firms, stuff like that. And then the retirement homes and.
Well, we had the Novell project that has the grocery store retail space in it. Yeah. We expect that we're also going to get some redevelopment work as time goes on to the western side of Lake Lucerne, that area back in there, Franklin, UE.
Yeah, because you'd have to have bars and restaurants and stuff like that to really drive the people there, I would think.
Well, what we want, I mean, the intent is that we have bars, restaurants, and everything throughout the area, but we also, with Lake Lucerne, that area feels cut off from downtown Orlando because of the 408. And the facilities we have to get from the south side of Lake Lucerne to the north side of Lake Lucerne are minimal and lacking. And if you walk underneath the 408 right now, you'll probably run into 4 or 5 urban campers who are stretched out there too. So again, to activate that space, to make it another park space, to make it a gateway into downtown Orlando, but to also make it a nice walk, even though it's a longer walk to get up here.
Thanks for the presentation, but I was curious, you did everything south of 50. I'm curious about the proposed project, the twin medical towers, supposed to be the
vertical medical city?
Yeah, what's the status of that? Because that would draw the whole downtown all the way up to Ivanhoe, I would imagine.
Last I heard, the applicant was being sued by her investors. So I'm not sure that project's going to move forward. If you've been paying attention, we just approved the master plan for a 14-story tower on North Orange Avenue where Light Styles and the office furniture store is. That one was called 10 Degrees. We have the Holocaust Museum that's coming to the old Chamber of Commerce site. They're coming in for their final appearance review board approval next month. That project is moving forward. So eventually we'll have the Holocaust Museum up there, and right across the street from the Holocaust Museum, we approved a project last week that was another 14 stories or so, I think, as well, another 300 residential units. So again, that's happening. It's not the vertical medical city, but we're getting that intensity of development north of 52 as well.
Great presentation. Thank you for the update. You got so many activities up there. You got a lot, a big vision list. What's the thoughts about where are you going to start?
I'm waiting for that list myself. And that's kind of the phase they're in now. They're in the action plan phase. They're also in the how do we fund this phase. We have the CRA, which is funding. There's talk about pulling bonds to do this, to do a lot of this work as well. Because when you start to think about two-way streets, you're thinking about redoing signalizations and everything at intersections and those types of things. So again, that's the state we're in. You got the analysis that I gave last time, kind of some of the pretty pictures of what we're shooting for. And hopefully next time I come by, I come in with an action plan that's prioritized of where we're going first. I haven't quite seen that yet. So.
Oh, well, I've got a general question from the Rotary Club. Do you have any insight or know what the plans are for the Ace Cafe, the old Ace Cafe
No, I don't. And believe me, I struggled to get that one approved. So it hurt when it went away. My guess is, and this is just my guess, having, worked downtown for 35 years, is probably sometime in the next 6 months, we're going to get a proposal for a new high rise on that site.
Okay, another question, general question is do you have any insight or know what they're going to do with the Orlando Sentinel property on Orange Avenue?
I had the opportunity to meet with the owner of the property. He's a Miami developer. He's developed a series of high rises in downtown Miami called Midtown. He's doing, the plans he has for that is similar. It's a lot of probably 10, 12-story, 14-story buildings along Orange Avenue with ground floor retail. He actually says he has a commitment from Whole Foods to go in there. It was really nice because we wanted an urban park space in that area as we were going through the planning. And when his planning team showed up, they had designed an urban park space into the plan. So think kind of a transition between the lower mid-rise development north of 50 and the high-rise development south of 50, kind of the View, Sky House, Society, Orlando, the new one, kind of a height in between. So if you kind of think about that going down, still intense urban development, very well connected. They're actually talking about potentially connecting Hillcrest through the site too, so it breaks it up into 3 blocks instead of 2 blocks, which from an urban design standpoint, we like a lot better as well. But again, in private hands, private developer, he'll move when he wants to move. Or when they can afford to move.
Yeah. Okay, I got any more questions? Okay, I got a couple from the back here. Let's see, Denny has a question.
I don't have an answer for this, but in a lot of cities, one of the nice things about them is you've got some place where you can stroll, like a mile, with a bunch of people and see a whole bunch of things. Is the city given any thought to that, how that could be done?
Well, I mean, that's part of what we're trying to do now. If you start to think of converting Magnolia Avenue from what is basically a bus lane for the buses to go on to be a two-way street that cars can go on both ways and then have much wider sidewalks that people are walking on. That's the area. If you look at the scale of the buildings, it's our downtown historic district. So putting new buildings in there is complicated, difficult, and almost impossible. So it's the redevelopment of what's existing there. That becomes kind of our walkable retail main street, we think. That becomes where some of the restaurants and the niche places go. But we still have the ability to do the same thing on Orange. There are other areas. We have Gertrude's Walk, which hopefully we'll do some enhancements to that as well. But we're trying.
One more question.
Thank you. I've always wondered about why downtown doesn't have retail that's not bars and restaurants. And I've lived in a number of different cities, and from the people I know in the area that want to walk around in the neighborhood, you have people who go to Audubon Park, walk around, Winter Park, walk around, and it's because they're clothing stores or jewelry stores or things that aren't restaurants and bars. Is there anything that the city of Orlando can do to entice stores like that to fill these retail spaces?
So the first answer to that is bars and restaurants will pay higher rents than retail. So that's one of the reasons that's been happening. If you'll notice, we've changed our codes. We used to just have something called eating and drinking establishments. And that was a bar, that was a restaurant, that was a nice club, that was a performance venue that served alcohol. We've now broken that up into 3 categories: restaurants, bars, and nights clubs, all with different classifications. We have several of our less reputable bar owners who do not like some of their new regulations, and they're moving out of downtown. So there's a bit of a switch there too. The other thing that has happened is all of our really good, our city's Main Street program, which we have our 11 Main Streets now, from Edgewater Drive to Ivanhoe to Audubon Park, Mills 50, Curry Ford, Soto. That's where a lot of our local retail went, and that's where a lot of it's grown up. So what the city is starting to do is take those ones that are successful and bring them into downtown and help subsidize them to expand their businesses. So for example, in City Hall, the City Beautiful Cafe just opened where our Four Rivers used to be in the lobby of City Hall. Those are the owners of Bem Balm up on Corinne Drive, who the city partnered with to do that. SAC Comedy Lab has moved from their building over on Pine Street to move in here with Fringe, so we can create kind of an entertainment nucleus over here for, oops, stop hitting that, for, again, as an anchor for both restaurants and retail. So again, hopefully those kinds of things, but they're slow changing. They take time. I think you heard the mayor announce yesterday, sounds like they're close to securing Travel and Leisure, moving their headquarters buildings from SeaWorld and their 900 employees to downtown Orlando as well. So again, those types of things that we're also looking at too.
Thank you very, very much. We have another cup for you. You said you have one for the office and one for home now.